As expected, Elden Ring contains the largest number of influences from Berserk. Being a natural evolution of Dark Souls and Miyazaki's most ambitious project, Elden Ring is filled with references to the manga. We have been able to collect more than 25 references and have grouped them as shown. Watch the video until the end so that you can answer this trivia question. If the main characters of Berserk are present in Elden Ring, who will they be? Let's begin with the list and see if you can answer this question by the end of the video. In the Berserk manga, Grunbeld is one of the strongest apostles who serves under the reborn Griffith in his Band of the Falcon. In his demon-released form, Grunbeld transforms into a great four-legged fire dragon covered with stalactites made of corundum, with his face shielded by a layer of crystal. In Elden Ring, the god-devouring serpent is a massive coiled serpent found at the Volcano Manor in Mount Gelmir, and Rykard, Lord of Blasphemy, is its true form that is revealed after the first phase is defeated. If you observe carefully the reveal of Rykard's serpent form, you will notice that it is very similar to Grunbeld's dragon form. Both of them have a small human face protruding on the scales of the main monster's head. The source of the Berserk volume is volume 27, and the chapter is titled Fire Dragon. In the Berserk manga, the Sword of Actuation was first revealed when the Skull Knight aided Guts in his escape from the deepest level of Qliphotht. Employing the sword's power, he unleashed a swirling abyssal vortex, drawing in the swarm of trolls and ogres, before tearing open a portal for their escape. The Sword of Actuation was forged from the behelits that the Skull Knight had consumed from vanquished apostles. Now, shifting our attention to Elden Ring, we encounter the Blasphemous Blade, which Rykard wields during the second phase of his boss fight. If you observe closely, the way in which he unveils the Blasphemous Blade bears a striking resemblance to the Skull Knight's own revelation. Their appearances also share a remarkable similarity. Moreover, the lore surrounding both weapons intertwines, as the Blasphemous Blade is described as bearing the remains of countless heroes devoured by Rykard, their essence eternally bound to the blade as kin. This essence mirrors the concept of the Sword of Actuation, an amalgamation of consumed behelits. The source of the Berserk volume is volume 26, and the chapter is titled Companions. In the Berserk manga, during Griffith's transformation into a member of the God Hand known as Femto, he experienced a haunting vision of the deaths and sacrifices made by his followers in pursuit of his ambitions. Amidst this ghastly scene, Griffith's attention was drawn to the crystallization of his final tear, the very last tear he shed as a human before becoming the entity known as Femto. Now, turning our focus to Elden Ring, a new set of items known as Crystal Tears has been introduced. These items possess various special effects when mixed in the flask of wondrous physic. If you carefully observe the design of these Crystal Tears, you will notice their striking resemblance to Griffith's own crystallized tear. The source of the Berserk volume is volume 13, and the chapter is titled God of the Abyss. In the Berserk manga, the mansion of the Spirit Tree served as the home of Flora and Shirka. It was located in an enchanted forest on the outskirts of Enoch Village and was protected by spells and golems to ward off the spirits that plagued the world. You will find more structures like this in Elfhelm, the home of the Elves, which is a paradisaical kingdom situated on the island of Skellig in the Western Sea. If you carefully observe the architecture of the buildings and structures in Haligtree Town, you will notice their similarity to the Spirit Tree Mansion and those in Elfhelm. Pay attention to the windows, panels, doors, and balconies. It's almost like a perfect recreation of the structures from the Berserk manga. The source of the Berserk volume is volume 24, and the chapter is titled Mansion of the Spirit Tree. When you reach volume 3 of the Berserk manga, you will discover a location of significant importance to Guts' background story. This location takes the form of a tree known as the Tree of Corpses, adorned with the lifeless bodies of deceased individuals hanging from its branches. It plays a vital role as it serves as Guts' birthplace. Apparently, his mother gave birth to him while teetering on the brink of death and suspended within the tree. This is not Miyazaki's first attempt to recreate the Tree of Corpses. In Dark Souls 3, you can encounter it at the center of the undead settlement, where the cathedral evangelist prays alongside other hollows. However, it is in Elden Ring that Miyazaki succeeds in faithfully replicating Berserk's Tree of Corpses. This faithful replica is situated in the village of the Albinaurics. As you make your way towards the village center, you will gradually notice dead people hanging from branches and poles. If you cross the bridge to a nearby location, you will discover the Tree of Corpses, now matching the theme and color of the original portrayal in the Berserk manga. The Berserk volume source is Volume 3, and the chapter name is The Golden Age. In the manga, the World Tree is an enormous tree consisting of two immense arching trunks intertwined in a helix shape, with branches that scrape the sky. It appears in place of Ganishka's twice reincarnated form after Femto uses a stroke from the Sword of Actuation to split open the Apostle. At the foot of the tree sits Falconia, the capital of Midland. If you play Elden Ring, the first awe-inspiring sight that greets you in the overworld is the giant luminous tree called the Erd Tree. It is a giant golden tree that towers above the lands between. And similar to Falconia, at its foot is Leyndell, the royal capital. The undeniable resemblance between the Erd Tree and the World Tree lays the foundation for our subsequent entry, Falconia and Leyndell, which we shall explore soon. The Berserk volume source is Volume 35, and the chapter name is Falconia. After the defeat of Ganishka's second demon-released form at the hands of Femto, the World Tree emerges in Ganishka's place, and Griffith's capital city of Falconia miraculously appears near the base of the Great Tree, occupying the land where Wyndham once stood. The architectural style of the buildings in Falconia is notably classical, with at least two temple-like structures and a prominent Colosseum. In Elden Ring, there is a city named Leyndell, the royal capital, located beneath the Erd Tree. If you carefully observe the architecture of Leyndell, you'll notice its striking resemblance to Falconia, complete with a Colosseum, and of course, a giant tree nearby. The Berserk volume source is Volume 35, and the chapter name is Falconia. In the manga, when Guts and his party were attempting to rescue Farnese and Casca, who had been kidnapped by a horde of trolls, they had to venture into a nightmarish realm known as Cliffoth. This location was a horrifying manifestation of darkness and malevolent thoughts, truly nightmare fuel. In Elden Ring, there exists a place that perfectly fits that description, albeit with a different name. This place is called Caelid, a desolate wasteland located at the southeastern edge of the lands between. It is plagued by the Scarlet Rot and inhabited by various grotesque creatures. Players find this location particularly memorable, not only because of the battle between General Radahn and Millennia that took place there, but also due to the unsettling atmosphere it creates, reminiscent of Cliffoth. The Berserk volume source is Volume 25, and the chapter name is Cliffoth. In the Conviction arc of the Berserk manga, Farnese and her knights are tasked with a new mission, escorting the Holy See Inquisitor Mozgus to Albion. Their objective is to restore order in the Holy City, which is overflowing with refugees. Pay close attention to the scenes featuring the Inquisitor's wagon. While it's worth noting that the wagons in Berserk were not pulled by giants, there is a striking resemblance when you closely observe the carriages being driven in Elden Ring. Our verdict for this is similar. The Berserk volume source is Volume 17, and the chapter name is To Holy Ground. In the manga, the Hill of Swords is a vast snow-covered mountain that is adorned with numerous swords crafted by Rickert. Each sword symbolizes a fallen member of the Band of the Falcon from the Eclipse, and Rickert created these swords as grave markers in their honor. As you explore the expansive overworld of Elden Ring, you will come across locations reminiscent of the Hill of Swords. These locations will feature a single, prominent greatsword with lore inscribed upon it, evoking a similar significance and storytelling element. The Berserk volume source is Volume 17, and the chapter name is A Feeble Flame. In Elden Ring, the Arsenal charm is described as an iron charm that resembles a mass of weaponry, boosts maximum equipment load. This talisman was derived from an unusual greatsword, once wielded by a hero hungry for vengeance. There are 2 points of interest in the description. First, it resembles a mass of weaponry, and second, it was derived from the greatsword of a hero hungry for vengeance. Both of these descriptions relate to Guts from Berserk, whose main plot revolves around his need to seek vengeance on Griffith for the death of his comrades. Guts carries a large arsenal of weapons as part of his vendetta against demons. The Berserk volume source is Volume 1, and the chapter name is The Black Swordsman. In the manga, Wild was an apostle who served as the leader of the Black Dog Knights, an army comprised of convicted murderers and criminals working for the Kingdom of Midland. In his apostle form, his arms fused into his torso, while his waist transformed into an ape-like body with a mouth in his chest and multiple eyes across his body, one on each shoulder and one at the fusion of his upper waist and lower neck. In Elden Ring, there is a boss known as the Fire Giant. This formidable creature possesses a massive face on its chest and is encountered in the mountaintops of the giants. Upon careful observation, one can discern a striking resemblance between Wild's apostle form and the Fire Giant. The Berserk volume source is Volume 11, and the chapter name is Forest of Tragedy. In our Dark Souls video, we mentioned that the jump attacks of Artorias were inspired by the jump attacks of Guts, while he wore the Berserker armor in the manga Berserk. In Elden Ring, a similar jump attack has returned, named the Lion's Claw, represented as an Ash of War. This jump attack closely resembles how Guts executed his jump attacks against Grunbeld during their intense battle in Flora's Spirit Tree Mansion in the Berserk manga. The Berserk volume source is Volume 26, and the chapter name is The Berserker Armor. In the manga Berserk, Guts discovered the Dragon Slayer sword when he needed a more powerful weapon to confront the apostle that pursued them to Godot's house. Since then, the Dragon Slayer has become his iconic and signature weapon throughout the series. Hidetaka Miyazaki, the creator of the Souls series, has paid homage to the Dragon Slayer sword since the release of the first Souls game, Demon's Souls. This tradition continued in subsequent games, including Elden Ring, where he included a weapon called the Great Sword, faithfully replicating the iconic Dragon Slayer sword from Berserk. The Berserk volume source is Volume 1, and the chapter name is The Black Swordsman. In the manga, after Casca and her team successfully rescue Griffith, you will notice the helmet that he wears. This helmet serves as a representation of Griffith's emasculation, torture, and degradation. Guts is unable to remove the helmet because Griffith's face has been mutilated, with his tongue removed and his skin cut open. In Elden Ring, there is an armor available called the Prisoner Iron Mask. While some may speculate that it is a reference to a movie, upon careful observation, one can notice its striking resemblance to the mask worn by Griffith in Berserk. Among the masks shown here, you can easily see which one looks different. The Berserk volume source is Volume 10, and the chapter name is Reunion in the Abyss. When the announcement trailer for Elden Ring was released, fans got their first glimpse of Malenia, and many noticed the design of her helmet. Many speculated that its design is strikingly similar to the one worn by Farnese when she was first revealed at the beginning of the Conviction arc of Berserk. We agree with this inspiration, and our verdict is high possibility. The Berserk volume source is Volume 15, and the chapter name is Pursuers. In the manga, the Berserker armor is a gift given by Flora to Guts to help him fight demons and apostles. This armor grants the wearer superhuman strength and inhuman ferocity, while also healing injuries in the heat of battle and suppressing fear and pain. However, for Guts, the armor has a drawback, as it transforms him into a feral, bloodthirsty beast that can no longer distinguish between friend and foe. This is not the first time Miyazaki has attempted to recreate the Berserker armor in the Souls games. In Dark Souls 3, we encounter the Outrider Knights, who don a remarkably similar armor and fight with bestial tendencies. In Elden Ring, Miyazaki has successfully crafted a faithful replica of the Berserker armor with Malekith. Not only does Malekith wear a similar armor, but he truly embodies the essence of a beast and fights accordingly. The Berserk volume source is Volume 26, and the chapter name is Berserker Armor. Radahn is undoubtedly one of the most formidable boss enemies in Elden Ring, both in its lore and gameplay. Additionally, he has gained immense popularity and admiration among players for the seemingly fair way he fought against Malenia, as depicted in the cutscene. Among the fan theories, there are different speculations about Radahn's inspiration. Some believe he draws similarities from the character of Geyserik, while others point to Grunbeld or Zod. Our perspective is that Radahn is a fusion of all three. His armor takes cues from Geyserik's, while his helmet bears resemblance to Grunbeld's. Furthermore, Radahn's weapons are modeled after Zod's cleaver. This amalgamation of iconic traits from different characters only adds to the allure and uniqueness of Radahn as an impressive and beloved figure in the game. The Berserk volume source is Volume 10, and the chapter name is Thousand Year Fiefdom. During the official gameplay trailer of Elden Ring, numerous fans of the game noticed a prominent and intriguing giant face shown in the screenshot. They wondered about its significance and meaning in the game's context. Upon the game's release, many players sought to find this specific location to explore the mysterious giant face. While we refrain from discussing the lore or speculating on its significance within the mythology of Elden Ring, it can be reliably and categorically stated that this face is indeed inspired by Berserk. If one were to refer to Volume 34 of the Berserk manga, specifically after the Skeleton Knight slashes Griffith with the Sword of Actuation, they would encounter a face with a striking similarity to the giant face shown in the original Elden Ring trailer. The resemblance is apparent and serves as a clear homage to Berserk in the game. The Berserk volume source is Volume 34, and the chapter name is Fisher. If we exclude Apostle Wild and his knights, the trolls are considered one of the most disliked monster types in the entire Berserk manga, for reasons we prefer not to discuss in this video. The notorious reputation of these creatures is well known among most Berserk fans. In Elden Ring, when you reach Farum Azula, you will encounter a group of enemies known as the Beastmen of Farum Azula. Upon close observation, you will notice that they bear a striking resemblance to the trolls from the Berserk manga. Fortunately, the Beastmen in Elden Ring are nowhere as bad as their counterparts in the manga. The Berserk volume source is Volume 24, and the chapter name is Trolls. In the Berserk manga, after transcending apostlehood and assuming a demon god form, Ganishka crushes numerous Kushan soldiers beneath his feet. The crushed corpses then transform into monstrous, multi-tentacled creatures, resembling the Emperor's visage, but with sharp fangs and distorted mouths. These spawns proceed to devour the remaining survivors of the Kushan invasion army before being confronted by the Band of the Falcon. In Elden Ring, a new type of creature called the Giant Land Octopus is introduced. These hostile creatures are formidable in terms of durability and exhibit unpredictable behavior. If carefully observed, they do bear some similarity to Ganishka's spawns. Our verdict for this is similar. The Berserk volume source is Volume 34, and the chapter name is Demonic Release. Godot holds a significant role in the Berserk series, primarily as the creator of Guts' iconic weapon, the Dragon Slayer sword, and secondarily as a provider of sanctuary for Guts, Casca, and Rickert following the traumatic events of the eclipse. Interestingly, this is not the first instance where Godot's character has made an appearance in one of Miyazaki's games. In Dark Souls, players encounter Andre of Astora, a muscular and younger blacksmith who bears resemblance to Godot. In Elden Ring, players will notice the striking similarity between Godot and Master Hugh, both of whom are blacksmiths who have surpassed their prime. This resemblance further connects the world of Elden Ring to the character and legacy of Godot in the Berserk series. The Berserk volume source is Volume 10, and the chapter name is Sparks from a Sword Tip. Farnese is a significant character in the Berserk manga, undergoing a compelling character development arc. Initially portrayed as a delusional and fanatical member of the church, she evolves into an open-minded student of magic and ultimately becomes a proficient mage herself. Many players of Elden Ring have observed the similarities between the character arcs of Roderica and Farnese. Both characters experience a loss of purpose and faith, only to embark on a journey of learning magic and spirit tuning. It adds an extra layer of connection that Roderica was originally named Farnese in the game, and her final name is a modification of Roderick, who happens to be Farnese's fiancé in the manga. This parallel further enhances the thematic resonance and homage to Farnese's character in Berserk within the context of Elden Ring. The Berserk volume source is Volume 17, and the chapter name is Night of Miracles. Similar to Farnese, Shirka holds a significant role in the manga Berserk. She is a young witch in training, formerly a disciple of the witch Flora. As a member of Guts' traveling party, Shirka plays a crucial role in rescuing Guts when he falls under the influence of the trance induced by the Berserker armor. Miyazaki has attempted to recreate Shirka in the Souls games before. In Demon's Souls, she appeared as an older woman named Yuria the Witch. In Dark Souls 3, she returned as Carla, still wearing the iconic attire associated with Shirka. In Elden Ring, Miyazaki has successfully crafted the most faithful version of Shirka in a Souls game, introducing the character of RANNI the Witch. The Berserk volume source is Volume 22, and the chapter name is Warcry of the Wind. Guts, the main character of the manga Berserk, has always been referenced in various ways throughout the Souls games. In Dark Souls, the cover boss of the DLC, Artorias, draws influence from Guts wearing the Berserker armor. Similarly, in Dark Souls 3, Gale bears a resemblance to Guts with his matching greatsword and repeating crossbow. In Elden Ring, Guts makes a reappearance as Blade, a fascinating character who is part man and part wolf. Blade serves as a companion and guardian to RANNI the Witch, paralleling the relationship between Guts and Shirka in the Berserk manga. The Berserk volume source is Volume 28, and the chapter name is Proclaimed Omens. Casca is one of the most important characters in the Berserk manga. She serves as the love interest and emotional anchor for Guts. Before her transformation during the eclipse, she held the position of the leader of the Band of the Hawk, while Griffith was imprisoned and Guts was undergoing training. Casca is not only a strong warrior, but also a resilient leader. In Elden Ring, among all the characters, Nephili Lu bears the closest resemblance to Casca. Nephili is a formidable warrior with strong principles and leadership skills. Additionally, both share the unfortunate experience of being betrayed by someone they trust and value. As an added bonus, players can acquire the Arsenal Charm from Nephili, an item that clearly references Guts. The Berserk volume source is Volume 4, and the chapter name is The Golden Age. Among all characters in the Berserk manga, none is more enigmatic than Griffith. Second only to Guts, he is one of the most important and crucial drivers of the story. Therefore, it is extremely interesting for us to search for possible influences of Griffith in the Souls games. However, unlike Guts, Griffith is rarely referenced in the Souls games, until the arrival of the game Elden Ring. In Berserk, Griffith is portrayed as handsome, tall, with pale skin, charm, and white hair. Can you imagine any character in Elden Ring that meets such conditions? After hours of research, our conclusion is that no one fits Griffith as an Elden Ring character more than Gostok. He is tall, pale-skinned, and has white hair. Can you see their resemblance? Setting jokes aside, most of the fanbase believes that Miquella is the equivalent of Griffith in Elden Ring, for two reasons. Firstly, he matches Griffith's description as a fair-haired, androgynous leader with the power to draw followers and inspire affection, with the potential to become a true god. And secondly, they both slumbered in an egg-like cocoon, and the visuals of these cocoons relate to each other. Our verdict on this is high possibility. The Berserk volume source is Volume 4, and the chapter name is The Golden Age. In total, we have identified 27 influences from Berserk on Elden Ring. 24 are considered to be beyond doubt, 1 high possibility, and 2 similar. If you would like to explore how Elden Ring compares to other Souls games in terms of these influences, you can find the links in the description below.